What's up, guys? This is Alex here from 814EDC, and I have a review of the WE Banter to go over today. Now, this is, again, the WE Banter designed by, Ben Peterson, who I feel like is kind of a celebrity or a legend in the knife community, I guess you could say. So he actually, kind of a quick story time here before I get into the knife. So if you're looking just for the knife review, you might want to skip a few minutes ahead. But, um, back, I want to say, freshman year of college is when I really started getting kind of into EDC and the whole knife world. Growing up, I had always been around knives and kind of been interested in knives, and I had a few, cheaper knives because, my family we hunted, we still do hunt. My dad was a concrete contractor. My grandpa was in construction, so like they always had knives on them, and they always, had blades and stuff like that. And like I said, I was always interested in them, but I was never really into like collecting them or like the higher end stuff like that. Because at that point, I honestly didn't know that it existed. But flashback, I guess, to freshman year of college, I kind of found YouTube, and what YouTube was at the time. I had always known what YouTube was because, I knew that it had videos on there and stuff like that, but I really didn't know what it was all about until, freshman year I had, a lot of downtime and stuff in my room, and I think I came across, I want to say my first, kind of induction into YouTube was I think I found a car channel that I really liked, and I was like, oh, this is super cool because it's almost like a TV show, but like for someone like not that famous, you know what I mean? So you can relate to them more. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. So I started digging in more, and I came across Talon Sai, which many of you might know. Talon, he focuses more on his road trip across the country right now and stuff like that, and he's kind of developing his own business and brand and stuff like that. But a couple years ago when I first found him, he did a lot more like gun reviews, knife content, EDC content, which he still does now, but it was more frequent back then. So I found one of his videos, excuse me, about I think what he was carrying in his knife collection and stuff like that. And then through his channel, I found Blade HQ, which Ben Peterson was with at the time, and they did, I think it's Knife Banter. Yeah, I want to say it was Knife Banter. And Ben, I feel like kind of, propelled Blade HQ to, the path that they're on now. I feel like he was a big part of that. He was very, his energy was very infectious. He was just a very enthusiastic guy, and he was fun to watch every week. So that kind of got me into the knife world, and I started browsing Blade HQ's website, watching a ton more videos on knives and stuff like that. That fricked up my camera. I'm sorry about that, guys. My tripod is on the cheaper end of the spectrum for tripods, and it the ball that holds like the phone mount fell backwards, and I had to get that all fixed. So I apologize about that. But as I was saying, I started browsing Blade HQ's website a lot more. I was watching a ton more videos on knives, and I think the first knife that I bought after being introduced to the whole world was, I want to say it was a Bird model, which is Spyderco's budget line. It was like a $20 knife. I carried that for like a month, and then I think the first nice knife to me that I bought was the Ontario Rat 2 and D2, and that was like a $35 knife. And I remember specifically that I had thought at the time, $35 for a knife, that's kind of a lot of money. That's probably the most I'll ever spend on one. I don't really need to buy anything more expensive than that because a knife is a tool. And flash forward, 4 years in the future to present day now, and I don't have a big collection at all, but I've definitely surpassed spending $35 on a knife. So it's just kind of crazy how your mindset changes over time. But yeah, Ben has since left Blade HQ, and he has his own venture now. He has his own company called NAFS. They produce like working mats or like big mouse pads. I have one that it sits on my desk. They have they've recently come out with a wallet that has like a strap in it, which is really cool. They have cool posters. I think they came out with an EDC ruler recently. I think that's about it, but they're coming out with some really cool designs. I'm sure that they're going to keep continuing to come out with new stuff. So I'll leave a description or a link in the description down below to NAF's and Ben's Instagram. So go check them out. They're just, Ben's a really cool person. But I'll quit rambling about my stories and stuff like that, and we'll get to what you came here to see, which is the WE Banter. Produced by WE. The materials in this guy, you have these really nice kind of contoured G10 scales in the really nice Ben blue, which, if you follow Ben and all, you know that he likes his certain color of blue, which these are. You have an S35 VN blade, which says right there. You have dual left and right titanium thumb studs. And then you also have Ben's logo, which is, "What is up, guys?" I can never do it very well, but it's cool that it's on the blade there. It's kind of a nice personal touch from Ben. For the pocket clip, phenomenal pocket clip. I think Ben, their design, they knocked it out of the park with this one. It's super deep carry, loop over style deep carry. It is recessed and then countersunk into the scale, so it sits perfectly. I feel like Ben took a page out of ProTech's book because ProTech does that a lot. So big fan of the pocket clip. It is a liner lock, and there is one liner which I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's just on the liner side. This bottom, it does not have a liner. But there's no blade play at all. It's a very sturdy feeling knife. So just from the fact that it only has one liner doesn't mean it's weak, I guess you could say. So I think that's all for materials. And I guess the WE pivot collar and pivot right there is very kind of a nice touch. This is my first WE knife, but one thing I'm going to comment on is I feel like WE is kind of known for having like really extravagant and kind of like, I don't want to say atypical, but like different designs. But I feel like, so this was kind of a page like away from their book, just because it's such a simple design, and just very, I don't know, just very plain Jane, I guess you could say, which is something that I like about the knife. So I think that's all for materials. So we're just going to jump right into action, which the action on this guy, excuse me, is phenomenal. This was something that really kind of, it surprised me, and I feel like it surprised a lot of people. This knife is on bearings, but the thumb flick action is probably the best that I've ever felt on a knife so far. Middle finger flicking is really good too, but I feel like the thumb flick is it's just so good. It just flies out of there. So it's just so addictive. It's just, so fun. I found myself fidgeting with this a lot at my desk. I fidget with all my knives pretty frequently, but this is just such a good one. Middle finger flick, also very, very good. It almost feels like it's assisted. And for a knife of this size, like I said, it takes you kind of by surprise. The action is just so good. Like I said, it's on bearings, so closing is very good. I think it has a secondary detent. I think that's what you would call it, because you have the lock up here, and then when you disengage it, there's kind of another detent you have to get by. There's a little bit of play, and then once you get by it, it just drops smooth. I usually just, when I'm closing it, I drop it on my thumb, it hits my nail, and I just shake it shut. It's just, action is just superb. Especially, it's a smaller knife. The blade's not very big. I think it's like a 2 3/4 inch blade or 2.8 inch blade, something like that. But it's just very, very good. Just like I said, I think this is the best thumb stud action I felt in a knife. And it's addictive. It's so fun to do. It's very You get a nice sound from it. It's locks up very positively. So action is just 11 out of 10 in my book. So next we're going to go to ergos, which, I've stated before, how it's just a very plain Jane design and, style, but I really like that. You get a nice drop point blade, which is very good for cutting and EDC purposes. But then the handle is it's almost kind of boxy, but it has this nice kind of swoop to it. It gets skinny and then a little fatter towards the end. And it honestly reminds me of like a rectangle, like a long rectangle. But it's very good. I didn't realize how small it was when I bought it, which I guess I'll compare it to the Bug Out, which I always thought the Bug Out was a smaller knife, on the smaller size. But when you take the two and compare them side by side, I mean, the Bug Out is a substantially excuse me, I'm rolling over my tongue today, a substantial amount bigger than the Banter. And the Banter, I'm still able to get all, in my preferred grip, which is the saber grip, I'm still able to get all 4 fingers on there very comfortably. Hammer and saber grip are my 2 probably most used things. And it's crazy how small this guy is, but how comfortable it is to use. There is some jipping up here on the top, but it's very small, and it's almost like it's very non-aggressive, so like it's almost like you can't even feel it sometimes. And then you do have jimping down here on the liner lock, which is more aggressive than the top, but that just adds to getting a good grip in there. I know Ben has talked about, he kind of has like a list of things he looks for in a knife whenever he does buy one, or in this case designs one. And one thing that he talked about is being able to get your pointer finger up here on top of the blade, so like when you're doing like real fine cutting and like you want to be very controlling over it, which I don't find myself doing that often, but you can do it with this knife very, very well. The most I do is instead of holding it back here with my thumb, I put my thumb up farther when I'm doing certain things, and it works very, very well. It's just, everything that I've talked about so far is just superbly done, in my opinion, on this guy. Ergos is just, again, with the action, I feel like it surprises a lot of people, because I feel like I have like I wear size large gloves, so my hands are on the bigger spectrum, but just the fact that I can get all 4 fingers on there comfortably and control it very well, it's just a huge plus in my book. So 11 out of 10 in the ergos department too. And then the last kind of main thing I want to talk about is carry, which when I went over the materials, that it has a loop over style deep carry pocket clip, which is milled into the clip, and then the screws are countersunk, so it's just completely level. The clip kind of goes above the butt end of the knife, so this thing carries ridiculously deep. I carry it, most of the time I carry this as a primary, which I'm not one of the guys that but I don't feel the need to carry 2 knives, if I have a bigger knife and a smaller knife, because, even this is so small, it does everything that I need to do. Like I've stated in multiple videos before, I don't really hard use my knives that much. The most they see is, opening letters, opening packages, cutting through some cardboard, just typical around the house type of things. And to me, this is, plenty big for that. It's very, very good for it, I think. So most of the time, this just rides my right, front pocket in my pants or my shorts. Sometimes I have used this as a secondary, which it excels at because it's just so small and slim. I think the only time I've done that is when I carry my Boker Keyhone Auto, which I got in 2 weeks ago or so, a week and a half ago. But I think it's the biggest knife I have in the collection, just lengthwise. Struggling right now, guys. I'm sorry. And sometimes when I carry it, I'll carry this in my fifth pocket in my jeans, just because sometimes if I'm out in public and I need to use a knife, I don't want to thwack open an auto just because, Pennsylvania knife laws and stuff like that. So I'll use this, and it does a really, really good job at it. But 90% of the time, this is my primary, just because I don't think that I really need anything bigger than this when I'm carrying it. At least I haven't experienced anything that I've needed a bigger knife for that this can't handle. So, yeah, carry is just really, really good. So, kind of the last point I want to talk to and kind of draw them all in together is price point. When I bought this knife, it was like $108 with some change. It ended up being like $150 with tax, directly from Blade HQ. Another kind of cool, as a side note to that, a cool thing about this was the first knife that I ever, got in when it first dropped. Before that, I had just bought like readily available knives, or I had gotten knives for Christmas, so I had never experienced like, okay, a knife is gonna drop, in 5 days or 3 days at this certain time. You need to be ready to get in there and get one before they sell out. And this was the first time that I had experienced that. I remember, I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was during the week at some point, and I was at work, which I work during the summers as a summer college worker for my local school district, doing like landscaping, mowing grass. Really, really enjoy that job. Doesn't really pertain to this, but luckily the knife drop was during us eating lunch, our lunch period. But the building that we kind of report back to, it doesn't have very good signal. So I remember I was talking to my good friend that I work with. I was telling him about the knife drop and how I was excited to get it, but I remember I had to go out in the middle of the parking lot to get enough signal. I think I was trying to get like 2 or 3 bars, and I was doing it all from my phone, and I was able to get one. So that was just kind of a really cool feeling to me. It was the first time that I ever, like I said, experienced that, and it was just very exciting to me at the time that I was able to get a first production run of the Banter, just because I've always kind of followed Ben. He was kind of one of the guys that got me into the knives, into knife collecting, into the knife world and stuff like that. So I always have that memory and that story to tell, and I think that's just really cool. But back to pricing, I think $115 is a very good price for this. You're getting S35VN, which to me, steel's all relative, but I try to go for better steels just because I think they do have their pros. And I know some people are kind of like, on the whole S35VN bullet or steel kind of thing. They don't really think it's that great of a steel, but for me, I've had a couple different knives in it now, and it's always done well for me because, like I said, I just do a lot of around the house items, or around the house tasks, and use it with items within the house. So I have no complaints with it. I think it's a very good steel. You're also getting really nice contour G10, a cool color, Ben Blue. You're getting a really, really nice pocket clip that's really well done. You're getting if I can get it to drop, an awesome action. Thumb studs for middle finger flicking and thumb flicking, just ridiculously fun. Closing's good, on bearings. It's just, they kind of knocked it out of the park with this one. So, and I think I remember seeing Ben talk about in one of his videos that he specifically wanted to keep the price kind of down for more people to be able to get in their hands, which I applaud. I think it's a really good thing that he did that. And I think that, Ben's just a good dude, and I'm glad he did that. I know that this has come out in the initial run was, my phone is just all jacked up. I'm sorry, guys. This video is probably going to look weird because I think it's slowly drifted over. It's doing it again. Yeah, I need to fix that before my next video. That's going to be annoying. I'm sorry. This is so unprofessional right now, but this thing is just so cheap and flimsy. I need to get a newer one. But I'll hurry up and, conclude this. But They did come out, the two initial colors were this one, and they had a black with a black blade. Since then, I think they've come out with, I think Blade HQ did like their typical M4 and Jade G10 configuration. And then at the beginning of the year, when the WE knives released all their new models, they came out with a green, like an OD green one, and a gray one, which looked really, really good. And I know Ben sells like, I think he calls it his Space Kitty scales for it that you can get. It has like cats in space. I don't know if that's like, I don't really know what that's about. But so there's many different variants and options for this guy. And it's super popular, and it's, you know, it's done very well. So I feel like it's going to, you know, there's more variants that can come out from it, and there's more, they can do different steel types and stuff like that. So just overall, it's a really good knife. I'll quit rambling because this is videos all over the place with me talking, and my camera setup's all weird. So hopefully I get that adjusted for the next video so that doesn't happen. I apologize to you guys for having to sit through that. Hopefully it doesn't negatively affect me getting the information across to you guys. So yeah, I'll quit rambling. This was my full review of the WE Banter, designed by Ben Peterson. Super good knife. You know, in the comments down below, let me know if you guys have experienced a Banter, or if you guys have, you know, if you kind of strayed away from it, and just let me know why, because I like hearing your thoughts and your opinions on specific knives. So I will talk to you guys in the next one, and again, I'm sorry for this whole, you know, camera setup. It's moved again on me. I need to fix that before my next video. So thank you for sticking through this one. If you've watched to the end, I really appreciate you. You're a real one, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.